Okay.
All right. Your first morning out here, getting the chance to lay eyes on Stormy and War of Will this morning. What were your impressions of how they got over the track?
I thought they both trained, really well. Couldn't be happier. Wish I'd brought a heavier jacket, but no, they look good.
You had mentioned in particular with War of Will the other day that you thought he was starting to take to this track as well as any, in particular you said you thought he gets over this one as well as he gets over Churchill.
Yeah, Shane, who's got on him the entire time at Saratoga and all summer long, said he feels like he's never gotten over the track any better, and he looks good. He may look health-wise the best I've ever seen him. So, yeah.
How should handicappers evaluate him, though? He is a tough horse.
Yeah,
to
I don't.
assist.
I'm not going to sit here and he's got to come with better than he needs to come with his Derby race, which everything we kind of done up to this now has been, hey, looking at trying how we did the Kentucky Derby, because I think he came with his A game in the Kentucky Derby. Probably a B+ game in the Preakness. It was just not as tough a race as the Derby, and then maybe that took a little toll on him. So our feeling is he's older, he's more mature now, and why not? If he comes with his big race, then everybody's gonna know he's there.
When you look at the field, Mackenzie's the favorite, but there's still some question about.
When you look at the field, for the most part, they all have little hiccups in their past performances. Maybe Mackenzie may have a bad day. But, who's to say? Shug's horse has probably been the most consistent of recent. And I have to be honest. During Derby time, I thought we were as good, if not better, than him. He had a great trip in the Derby, but now he's went on and gotten better and better. Shug's done a tremendous job with him. We're just hoping our horse can rise to a new level.
You said before that after you had Classic Empire that these other horses, no matter what happens, it seems a little bit easier. But has this horse, after his the Preakness, would you use the word frustrating at all? Or?
No, I've been disappointed in him. I'll be, in all honesty, he's thrown some clunkers at us that I don't really know why, and so that's a bit disappointing, but not frustrating. How can you be frustrated? He's still a Preakness winner, and he's been running all year long. He ran some big races in New Orleans in the springtime, in the wintertime, had some adversities thrown at him, and he's got a couple subpar efforts, but look at him. He looks tremendous. He's weathered the storm, and he's here to fight.
Would you think going through the whole Triple Crown, the Belmont maybe took a little starch out of him that maybe you don't really see until he's running in some of those races?
He did not handle. We know him really well, and again, my assistant out here, Shane, and I were talking about him, and you can tell after a race how he cools out, how much how he handles the race, and how he handles the track. It's well documented. He has string halt. And it will show you after a race how tired he is. For instance, after the Preakness, 15 minutes after the Preakness, he was fine. It took him hours to get over the Belmont. He was just stressed. He was stressed a little bit at Saratoga too. So the good news is his work the other day. He was a little exhausted after his first breeze here, so it was good that we got a breeze over him. His second breeze, when he breezed the other day and went 47 and change, not a deep breath. He came back. He recovered quickly. So we can tell by his recovery right after the race, and his recovery after the Belmont was the worst I've ever seen it. It took him. He was exhausted, but when I say exhausted, it's in a different type of way. So I didn't blame the Triple Crown on it. I blamed that he just didn't handle the racetrack.
Now, Got Stormy to try to ask you to compare her to Tepin, as a multiple champion. But talk about, taking the same path going into the boys against the mile with Got Stormy versus when you had Tepin.
And obviously Tepin was one of the greatest of all time. Got Stormy has done some things already, though, that, I often find it funny. I read articles about, and there's a lot said about a lot of horses here that are training. A lot of horses that were working at Churchill, and she kind of was an afterthought in some of the reporting. And I thought to myself, most of those horses will never accomplish what she's already done, and that is one, win a Grade 1, beat colts, break the track record by a second, and did it off of 7 days rest. I mean, there are not many horses that can say that and will ever be able to say that. So can you compare her to Tepin? Maybe not yet, but she's pretty damn good.
You came out of her Woodbine race. Yeah, I think I remember you and Tyler coming off that track saying, she got beat today, but if she runs this kind of form, they won't beat her at Santa Anita.
I knew that going in, that it was going to be a tall task for her. For one thing, if anybody, and I probably know Woodbine, I would say, as good as anybody, and you know how many good horses have come to Woodbine and got beat, good milers, and the reason is because it's not really a true mile. It would be more like running a mile in a 16th. She's a true miler. Then you throw in a little soft ground. We got some rain. Now it even made it more difficult. So I wasn't surprised at all. That I was actually quite proud of her to run second. The thing she's got going for her here is the turf's going to be firm, and she has an extremely quick turn of foot when you ask her to go, and the shorter turns is going to be to her advantage, where it will be the disadvantage to some of the others.
And run down your juveniles too. Obviously, I know you thought Peace Achieved was another one you thought would benefit over the ground here.
Yeah, I thought Piece of Chief's race. I thought he may get beat in the Bourbon for some of the same reasons we just talked about. Got Stormy. Here, he got a great post, which is important. A couple times I've come out here with horses that I thought could win the juvenile turfs, and they drew the 14 hole. So he drew a great post. He's got good natural speed, and he'll like the sharper turns, and he's going to like the firmer ground. So I think he's got a big chance. I really do.
And how about with Perfect Alibi in 260?
Perfect Alibi, I'm going to give her, here's a filly. She's already a Grade 2 winner and a Grade 1 winner. I knew going down the backside at Keeneland she was going to have trouble. She's a big, big filly. The track was extremely loose opening day at Keeneland, and I could see her struggling. And I'm just hoping she gets over this racetrack a little better and see. And then 260s races, she beat, just a real average bunch, but she did it easily and she ran fast. If you compare her, I can't think of the colt's name right now, but he won the colt division, and he's highly regarded and ran some big numbers, and she ran as fast as he did. So she's a little better than she looks maybe on paper.